Voch Rabbi Sai. Beautiful. What are you sitting over there? All Kippas Rugaz next to me over here, please. What do you got? Oh, I feel overwhelmed a little bit, David. What are we going to do? Wow. We got one guy with a black hat. Didn't take it off yet. Oh, whew. Baruch Hashem. This is a tough one, everybody. This is a tough email. Rebelli. I guess no, that's not how you read it. But when I say the name, you guys are going to be shocked. Rebelli is well known for his brachas, babies born, shidduchim happening, business flourishing through his blessings. What's less known is the curse of the Stefansky. A few years ago, I wrote an anonymous letter. That's the problem. We wrote it anonymously. An anonymous letter praising the incredible benefits of learning Daf Yomi through MDY. I mentioned that as a recruiter, someone from the Shir had started using me professionally. Placements were happening, business was booming, and money was flying through. I also mentioned that while I was giving regular mice to my own tzedakahs, his own, I wasn't giving to MDY. Rebelli did not like that in the least. He basically said I was being ungrateful and couldn't believe I wasn't giving back to the source. At that moment, I knew I'd be lucky to place another person at the company again. And that's exactly what happened. Everything went wrong. Candidates got fired before guaranteed periods were up. People took other jobs, placements disappeared. Now, fast forward. Through MDY, I've just received a new company to work with. This time, I committed to giving mice to MDY. I'm now sponsoring a week of this year. As the Rambam says, complete tshuva is when you're in the same position again, and this time you do the right thing. So I can officially say, I've now done complete tshuva, and I encourage anyone making money through MDY to give back to the shir. Robert Early. Preston Harris Group Recruitment. There's another tough one over here, very tough one. Actually, no, this is not tough. I wanted to share a thought about the Morocco trip, but really I took something completely different from it. I'll cut straight to the chase and keep it as short as possible. Nearly 20 years ago, in Yerushalayim, I taught a Canadian Sephardi bacher. We came from very different backgrounds, but we learned together day in, day out. He taught this guy. We finished the Masechta by heart together, Masechta Soita, and we were tested on it. Then life moved on. I went to Australia. He went back to Canada. We kept in touch here and there, but that was about it. I never imagined that all these years later, the connection would come back in such a powerful way. More recently, that connection has grown again, and before I knew it, I found myself deeply inspired by him. Jamie Azulai, the way he lives with Torah, the way his family's involved, the way he's driven, motivated, and passionate about learning, the way he gives of himself, his time, his koiches, and his philanthropy for Klal and the organization. I honestly never thought that day would come where I would be learning from the person I once learned with. I came thinking I would inspire others with MDY. Instead, I find myself inspired by him. Connecting with him again in Connecticut at the Shabbaton, reconnecting in Cedars, and now watching him on the Morocco trip. It genuinely moved me. His energy, his commitment to Simchas HaTorah, and how much he's doing for the cause is something very special. Just a quick shout out to Jamie. I'm moved, motivated, inspired, and it reminded me that sometimes the person you once taught becomes the person who teaches you the most. Warm regards, Gershi Rose. There's one mean email here. I guess I left it out. I'll just say about Peh. The guy says, anonymous, of course anonymous. He says, Toiv shaloi tidor mishetidor. It's better not to make a neder and promise somebody something and not to pay back. And what a chutzpah it is, he didn't say it in those words. How did I not pay Eitan G his helicopter ride? And then he said, that would be enough. He says he enjoys the shir a lot, this guy, anonymous. And he says, you go spend so much time to enjoy yourself all over the world, and you don't take it. That part I didn't like and I didn't appreciate.
I don't like it either. I'm with you. I got you back, bro.
So why did you write it?
I didn't write it.
I know it wasn't you. I know it wasn't you. It was. It didn't have the right derech cheretz for somebody that learned Torah from somebody else. You know what I mean? It was missing a little bit of that
respect.
Yeah.
I
don't care that much, but it was weird that he would write like that. And of course, he signed it anonymous because if he wouldn't write it without being anonymous. Okay, you know who you are. You could ask him Mechila. It's fine. Official edition MDY Shas in the Sechta Zevin Yal Shulhof. Daf Lamed, Daniel Shea, with gratitude to Hashem for giving me more than I deserve. I think that's all of us. We all get more than we deserve. Shir sponsors the Masechta. Shalom Aleichem Hillel. I haven't seen you in ages. I can make a bracha right now. Mechaya Mesim. What?
I was here last week.
What?
I was here last week on Motzei Shabbos.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. It became a Motzei Shabbos here for you. Great. Dedicated memory of Avi Mori Reb Shmuel Baruch Ben Reb Chaim Tzvi Dov Zechron Levracha. The Palchik Family Foundation, gratitude to the consortium in the Alliance and all they do to support MDY. Anonymous, Hatzlacha Brooklyn's V'Gashmias, and thank you to the Chief Benny. Anonymous, for complete refuah Shlema. And Arichas Yom Talei Bas Esther. B'Yom Daniel Rosenfeld, B'Rias V'Simcha. Monthly sponsors: Ari Simon, refuah Shlema Avi Mori Baruch Ben Miriam. B'Yom and Daniel Rosenfeld, Parnas B'Shefa. Monthly sponsors anonymous: refuah Shlema for Rabbi Rucham Ben Yehudis and Avram Yishaya Ben Slava Dvora. Amen. The Spanish year sponsors, weekly sponsor, wishing the MDY family continues Atzlocha and Siyata D'Shmaya. Anonymous, Hoydel Hashem Kitoiv, Kiloyel Chazdoi. Robert Early, Preston Harris Group Recruitment. Now we understand. Make money from the shear, give back to the shear. Daily sponsors, Ben Yeshua. In honor of Rafal Yeshua's 8th birthday, we're so proud of you for being who you are. Kyle sponsors month, HYK Ventures, and the schus for success of all our clients. He's not here. Benjamin and Daniel Rosenfeld, Bracha Beparnasa, MDY Kids sponsor monthly innovations of the schus for Akiva Simcha Ben Fega, and Rivki Yehudas Bas, Yafa Chaya, MDY Art, Refuah Shlema for Yehonatan Eitan Ben Basheva Bracha, Refuah Shlema Mordechai Ben Esther, Refuah Hayela Daniel Zev Ben Ayelet Esther. Moisai, we're holding like 10 lines from the bottom of Chavtes, Amud Beis. To remind the Olam, we had an interesting question, and we have a Gewaldige Sugya, and then we jump right back into Chullin with different types of shchitas and stuff. But before that, we have a great Sugya. We had a question: is shchita the tail end of the shchita? Is that all that counts? Or is shchita something that takes the entire process of shchita? So we had the two gauges. The gauge on top shows the shchita starting and ending, and therefore the entire thing is shchita. And they have the gauge on the bottom that just jumped all the way at the end. Amar Rava. So says Rava, Ikashili, if I'm going to ask a question about these shitas or proof, Hokashili, from this mission that we just discussed about Paraduma, according to the Mandoma that says that shchita only occurs all the way at the end, so you can make a very simple distinction. It's gevaldik. Whoever deals with paraduma becomes tamei. The shoichet becomes tamei. The guy that burns it becomes tamei. The guy that schleps it, all the people that deal with the paraduma become tamei. Two people, Reuven and Shimon, shachted the paraduma. Reuven is cutting away, cutting and cutting. It's not going well. 5 minutes into it, Shimon says, let me take over. I see you don't know what you're doing. Give me the knife. He takes the knife, he cuts, and he finishes. Now, if the shechita is only at the end, so who performed the shechita? Only the second guy, Shimon. So Reuven didn't even do a shechita, so Reuven would be tar. And if you say, yesh l'shechita b'tchila b'atzoif, so both of them performed the shechita, because it starts from the beginning and goes all the way through, and therefore they're both tamei. Why didn't you say that? So the Gemara says, because in the Gemara, because two people can't shecht. Two people shechted the paraduma. The Gavra Kama Lo Mitama. The first guy, Reuven, is not tamei. Why? Because the shechita only occurs all the way at the end, the last millisecond. The Gavra Basra Mitama, and the last guy becomes tamei. Rav Yosef, that's what you're talking about? That's not a great example. The Tanina, because we learned. Tizbach, we had this yesterday. Two individuals should not shecht one animal. Oh, boom. So that's the end of the question. You can't have two people shechting one animal. And another halacha, Tizbachuhu, you can't have one person shechting two animals in Kachim in the Beis Hamikdash. V'amar Kahanet is bochei uksiv. It says without a vav. So we have geshem l'mesoris. You darshan the way it is actually written. So tizbachu, tizbach. You should shecht it in singular. You shouldn't shecht two. You should shecht one. Akol panim. You see from here that two people should not shecht one animal. Didn't we say no? It's not true. What you're saying. This is only Reb Elazar Reb Shimon. It's not true. Chacham argue, and we go with Chachamim that two people could shecht one. And if two people could shecht one animal, then what's the question? We have seats here if you want. We have one seat over here. We have two seats over here. You guys can come in if you want to stay for the whole thing. Chacham say that two people could shecht one animal. No, so I have a question. Why can't Reuven and Shimon shecht? Reuven will be tar, Shimon will be tamei. Another question. Reb Elazar, Reb Shimon, nami lifloi kigoin the shachat chagav b'shnei sudarim. Rashi says a sudar is a hat in this case. It makes a lot of sense. Person was shechting with a hat. Another person came along, didn't like his hat. They had the hat issue all the way back in the day. What are you wearing a hat? Why are you wearing this kind of hat, you shagits? Oh, we'll put on this hat. Now, the question is, if you have one person performing the shechita from beginning to end, but you hold that the shechita only occurs all the way at the tail end, shechita is basoif, not beginning to the end, but only basoif, so the hat that he wore in the beginning is not tamei, because the shechita only happened at the end. And the hat that he wore all the way at the end, boom, comes tamei. I just want to give you an example. As I'm learning this, an hour and a half before shir, I'm like, ooh, this would be a good idea. I send the idea to the artists, and this is what they came up with, literally within an hour and a half. You got the Medidas guys.
Well, anything for the boss upstairs.
Shaggets! What kind of a hat is that?
And shechita v'soif, so his hat became tamei, givaldik, shagets. Can you imagine a guy shechting the paraduma with a baseball cap? That is disrespectful and disgusting. I agree.
I do.
You would do it?
The baseball cap, of course.
The paraduma? You just lost your helicopter ride. Says Gemara, okay, that's not a good, maybe I could be doichik this. Ella b'psula the parak hamayri. We're not talking about the beginning part, the shechita part. We want to talk about a real chiddush, a moiridik chiddush. That what? That if a person, let's say, does the hazah, the sprinkling of the blood of the paraduma, and he texted somebody while he was doing it, he cut a watermelon while he was doing it, the hazah part, so the paraduma becomes puzzle from that point on, and everything before that is kosher. That's what we want to say. We want to say where he made it puzzle, not where he made it kosher. The bigger chiddush is where he made it puzzle, so everybody before that is tahar, or tamei, I should say. Everybody before that is tamei. Why? Because there was a paraduma around, and when you're dealing with a paraduma that was kosher, you become tamei. And everybody after the cutting of the watermelon is tar, because it's no longer a paraduma. So it's a great chap. We're not talking about kosher stuff. We're talking about puzzle stuff. Okay. Masav Rav Idi Baravin. So there's a Maridik Chiddush. Again, a lot of times people come here, they space out. They don't. It's too difficult. Not too difficult. Chullin happens to be just very, very smooth. But if you just came and you learn one halacha, you're learning yeshiva and you're learning ion, but you just learned this one halacha, it's kedai. We had it in this week's parasha. No, actually not. No. Something else. I'm confusing the Pesach Sheni thing. There's a halacha that not everybody's familiar with. It says that you're not allowed to shecht any carbon, including a carbon Pesach, including a shlamim, any carbon, while you have chametz in your house on Pesach. So on Chol Hamoed, did anybody know this halacha? Not really. 90% of the people don't know this halacha. I'm just throwing out a number. It's a pasuk in the Torah. Lo yisishchat al chametz dam zivchi. Don't shecht when you have chametz. Now, most normal people don't have chametz. I know a Magichir who, this year, his chavrusa, Rabbi Didya, asked him to borrow his car in Eretz Yisrael. He didn't need it because he was in America. And he said, sure. He calls back frantically. He says, why is there a box of cookies in the front seat? When I left to America, I forgot to... So that's chametz on Pesach. I owned chametz. Now, obviously, I was mevatel it, and I sold it and everything. So I hope I wasn't over. But it's possible, huh?
You left very early because of the war.
Because of the war? I don't remember. That's not why I left. I leave because of wars? Why would I live here if I live because of wars? Okay. I don't remember any more of my excuses. That's what I told you guys. It's my wife. Wanted to go back to Chicago. Okay. Anyway, if a person owns chametz on Pesach, that's on Pesach, he's not allowed to shecht a carbon. So let's just do this it's very, very simple. A guy has a carbon Pesach that ran away. So what is he going to do? He bought another one. When did he find the original carbon Pesach? Usually you find it right afterwards. Right after okay? So he finds his carbon Pesach on Chol Hamoed. There it is. Boom. He has a carbon Pesach. Carbon Pesach, we have the carbon Pesach, he wears a kittel. Yeah? It's just to show you a carbon Pesach. Here we go. This guy. Okay? He's a carbon Pesach because he's the sheep that you bring as a carbon Pesach, he wears a kittel that's him. Okay. So this guy with the kittel, on Chol Hamoed, you have chametz in your house, you start shechting this guy. Now, it's not 100% a shlomim. I heard you say shlomim. Why is it shlomim? Let's say, hold on a second. Now, what if this guy needs to bring another carbon Pesach? Let's say he was Tameh. He went to Levaya Erev Pesach. He's Tameh. So now he can use this carbon, Pesach Sheni. That's this week's parasha. Pesach Sheni in 1 month. So right now it's a carbon Pesach. He shechts this carbon on Chol Hamoed Pesach. It's aser. You're not allowed to shecht the carbon Pesach on Chol Hamoed. You can either shecht it Erev Pesach, and if you have Tumah, you can shecht it in a month from now. But on Chol Hamoed, everybody agrees you can't shecht it. She shechts it on Chol Hamoed. And he has a box of cookies in his car. The question is he over on the isser of shechting a carbon on Pesach? Now, if this guy is completely, it's puzzle, it's a terrible carbon, so then he's not over in having cookies. Why? You're only over when you shecht the real carbon, but you use a psul. So the Gemara wants to say, if I say that the shechita is all the way at the end, then I shechted a great carbon. Why? Because the fact that I shechted a carbon Pesach and Mil Chol Hamoed, that's terrible. So I pass a little from a carbon Pesach. But what does it flip into? If a carbon Pesach flips into a shlomim. And that shlomim, I caught him at the tail end of my shechita. Boom! I did a beautiful shechita on a shlomim at the end of the shechita. And I had a box of cookies. Box of cookies with shechting and shlomim on Pesach is a big no-no. I'm over on this pasuk of L'sishchat al chametz dam zivchi. But if I'm shechting from beginning to end, so the entire thing is going to be a puzzle carbon Pesach. There is no beginning and end. It's one long thing. And I shechted a carbon Pesach from beginning to end on Chol Hamoed. I shechted something puzzle. I shechted something puzzle with a box of cookies. I'm not over on the Isser. Let's see inside, and that's the end of today's sugi. And then Imamish flows now. So let's see inside. Moser Ravidi Baravin. Uba Moyed, on Chol Hamoed, and he has this carbon Pesach that he just found, Lishmoi Potter. If you do it as a carbon Pesach, you're Potter because you did something terrible. You don't check the carbon Pesach on Chol Hamoed. Shalei Lishmoi. But if you had intent that this animal is not a carbon Pesach, it's a Shlamim Chayav. Now I checked it on Chol Hamoed with a box of cookies in my car. I'm chayev lo yisiz al chametz dam zivchi. Now the Gemara just goes into a long explanation. It's because you thought to yourself that it's a l'shlamim. Hastama, but if you didn't think to yourself, you didn't say, oh, it's not a Karban Pesach anymore, it's a shlamim. You didn't do anything. You didn't say anything. Stama, you stam, nothing. Nothing went through your mind. Potter. Why? By my potter. Pesach b'shayim moises shana shlamimu. I don't understand something. It flips, that's what Rabbi Yisayim was saying, it flips into a shlamim automatically. You see from here, no, that al chalamayid, in order to flip a Karban Pesach into a shlamim, you have to physically say it's becoming a shlamim. V'amar Reb Chia bar Gamda, nizrugam epicha bura v'amru, ha'achem ha'iskin, I'm going to show you balance mei mesim. What happened was that the owner couldn't bring his carbon on Erev Pesach. So what do you do with the carbon Pesach? You just bring it, this week's parasha, you bring it on Yudalet Iyar. This Stam L'Shmoikai. You want it. You have a carbon Pesach, you decided it's going to be a carbon Pesach Erev Pesach, you couldn't make it, you went to Levaya, so obviously you want to keep it as a carbon Pesach for the second time around. Only in this kind of case, where it's not obvious what you want to do with this carbon. Why is it not obvious? Because you need to bring a carbon Pesach in Yudalet Iyar, and it's not Yudalet Iyar yet, so you probably want to use it as a carbon Pesach. So in order for you to say it's not a carbon Pesach and it's a carbon Shlamim, you have to do something about it. You have to say it. But let's say you're a person that brought a carbon Pesach on Yudalet Nisan and Erev Pesach, and now you're stuck with this, so to speak, you're stuck with this carbon that got lost. Automatically you'll flip the Shlamim because you have no use for it on Yudalet Iyar. Okay, we're done with that. But what's the question here? So if you hold that it's one long shchita, let's see how he did it. Maybe he'll make it easier. Maybe he'll make it harder. When he shechs the carbon, he becomes a puzzle carbon Pesach, and he's a puzzle carbon Pesach from beginning to end. That's if you hold yeshna shchita mitchilat soif. But if you hold that the shechita is only at the end, not the entire time, so in the beginning when he shechted him, he becomes a carbon Pesach puzzle. But at the last moment, he flips into a shlamim and he shechted a shlamim. And what happens when you shecht a good carbon shlamim and you own a box of cookies, chametz? Then you're over the iser. So it's an afkimina whether we hold that the shechita goes from beginning to end, or whether the shechita goes only at the end. Because if it only goes at the end, then you shechted a shlamim, not a carbon Pesach. If it goes from beginning to end, then you shechted a Pesach. But if you hold that the shechita only occurs at the end, since he shechted a little tiny drop in the beginning, then it's no longer a carbon Pesach. I can't bring this now as a carbon Pesach. And at the last end, you shechted a shlamim, and memela you're over the iser of Abaye. So Abaye tries to say something here, and he the idchalem Pesach. What happened? In this case, this bottom case, we said it's no longer a carbon Pesach, but it turns into a shlamim. Wait a minute, says Abaye. Why? When you shechted in the beginning and you passed it, at that point you can redeem it. Anytime you have a carbon that's possible, you can redeem. And you can redeem it for money and maybe buy another carbon Pesach with it or whatever. So it remains in the parsha of Pesach, of carbon Pesach. So since it's a carbon Pesach still, why is it a carbon Pesach still? Because I'm going to redeem it. So just the fact that I have a box of cookies, I didn't shecht a kosher animal. I shechted a carbon Pesach, says Abaye. I didn't shecht a shlamim. I shechted a Pesach and I'm going to redeem it. Anytime you want to redeem something, you have to stand it up on its legs and you have to give it an appraisal. And this guy is shechted. No, that's not a problem. It's not even if you shechted an animal and it's jumping around like a lizard, it's as if it's alive. End of the sugya, boys. Here we go to much easier stuff. Guests. Shalom Aleichem, guests. Wie heißt dir? Yeah, he's still a guest for me. How long ago were you here? Really? Whoa. From where? Where are you? Where are you from? Here, Shalom Aleichem. And you? From where? Monsey Shalom Aleichem. You, not a guest. A guest. Shalom Aleichem.
Alec Robinson.
From?
Cedarhurst.
Shalom Aleichem. Nice to meet you.
Donnie Clement from Teaneck.
From Teaneck. Shalom Aleichem. Anybody else want to say hello? Shalom Aleichem. From? Lon. Shalom Aleichem. Benach?
Have him say Gewalt.
Why? Oh, it's the wrong word.
Some other Yiddish word?
No.
It's Yiddish. Stick with the English.
Exactly my point. You just made the point. Omer Rav Yudah Marav. Omer Rav Yudah Marav. Weiter. Hashoiche b'shnayim u'shloishim ha'koymos. Oh, wow! We have a new pipe here. Geschmack. If he shechs 1, and then he goes down 2, 3, says Rashi, but this one is a roiv. According to Tosfos, he did a little bit over here, and then on the same ring, he did a little bit over here, and a little bit more over here. So together you have like a roiv, and together it's okay. But we're not going with Tosfos. Here, I'll just show you Tosfos if you want to see it. Here. Ubeshiltas the Rav Achoy. Okay. This Shiltas? Geschmack. Okay, very good. Mamish, a kiss from Hashem. So, what would be the problem here? Let's think about a problem. So, he shechted a little bit here, then he shechted a little here, and then when he got over here, he did a nice roiv. What's the problem? I can't think of a problem. The Gemara has a little bit of an issue. Why is it not a problem? Because we already said if you cut a little bit of the trachea, it doesn't render the animal treifa. You can come back the next day and continue shechting there. You did it twice, 3 times, and finally you did a roiv according to Rashi. You know what the problem is? There's a lot of tension on this kana, and especially when you pull the neck backwards with the machine, you want it to like break open. But when you make more cuts on the kana, it'll lessen the tension. So it won't break open the way you want it. You want mefiras to be completely open, split. When the shaykhid looks inside, he sees a complete division. That might not happen if you do a bunch of cuts. Okay, I can hear that. You don't have that, it's not tight anymore. Even Reb Shimon ben Lakish holds you have to do a shchita that pops open. It should be shachot. The shchita should be like a chetz, like an arrow. An arrow is a one-time thing. It's one shot, one cut, and so too shchita is one cut. Shnai moichs and metalis. Oh, sorry. Shnai moichs and mesakim and shechetin. Shnai moichs and mesakim. 2 people onto a knife, and they shecht. Each one has a knife. Now we're going to learn each one has a knife. It doesn't seem like that from the Lashon. Each one has a knife. Shnai moichs and mesakim. V'shechetin. Afilu echad milamala v'echad milamata. Shchita zikshera. What's milamala lamata? Let's take out this knife. So we have 2. One is on top, one is on the bottom. Lamala lamata. Yeah? Or like this way. I don't want it to fall on me. Not a great idea, but like this. Okay, one is on top, the shechita knife is on top, and the razor blade is on the bottom. Okay. I'm getting too comfortable with this. It's not good. As Eitan G would say, but it'll be great for the ratings.
100%.
So you should do it on purpose.
Yeah, of course.
A little slice. Yeah.
Make it look like an accident.
I have another share to give afterwards. No time for emergency rooms now. Even if one shaykhid is cutting from the top, one is on the bottom. You just told me that if this cut has one cut here, one cut down here, it's not good because it won't pop open. No, you learned it wrong. Later on in the Gemara, we're going to prove that it means two people with two knives, even in that case. He says, no, it's two people with one knife. Just they're doing it on an angle. Instead of shechting like this, they're shechting like this. You know, one guy's holding this edge, one guy's holding the bottom edge. So you have a lamala and a lamata. Yeah? Now like this. That doesn't show well. This one. Okay. Fine. I have a problem with what you're telling me. It says that we're not concerned when two people shecht, we're not concerned that one is going to make a treifa, the other one is going to make it a treifa. Now, how does that work? You're two people holding one knife. If we're talking about two knives and two different people, that's great. It's like the Gemara says, and there's a famous saying in English, too many chefs or whatever. The Gemara talks about a pot of soup. You can't have too many chefs doing one pot of soup because each one is going to say, oh, he put in the salt, he did it. Everybody blames the other guy. So over here also, you can have too many chefs stirring the pot. Too many cooks boil the rock. Wow. Okay.
That's how you introduced Yossi Klein as the CEO. Remember, you had the whole video showing Noam and Avi messing up the soup.
Really? Hayu Yamim. How long ago was that? Okay. I can't remember this guy showing up at 3 weeks ago. You're telling me about a video of Yossi Klein. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. That's what I said. I said that you can't have too many chefs. That was a big issue back then. Too many chefs. Still an issue, but it's better now. Fine. So Mao the same each shoichet is going to rely on the other guy. Each guy is going to say the other guy did it right. We're not concerned. But if two people are holding one knife, how is one of them going to make it treif? They're both doing the same shechita. So what's the concern? What is the concern when two people do it? Drisa. Shemi Drisa should have said Drisa. You're right. What's the point of Drisa? When two people hold a knife, instead of doing it in a nice back and forth motion, there's going to be a little bit more, too much pressure, downward pressure. That's usher to do while you're shechting. And you're right. That's exactly the lashon here. Shemi Drisa Daf Lamed Amud Beis, sponsored by Dark Global Specialists in International Financial Services, by Chaim Milrad, Lili Nishmas Mirasi, There's a video I forgot to show the Oilam. Let me show it to you now. This was in EF Charlotte Samson. I literally forgot to show it. I showed it in the Hebrew. I forgot to show it in the English. Remember I said by the matzah, I know how to cut matzah well.
Exactly half and half, boys. You both want exactly the same?
Listen, you come to this shir, you get unbelievable chinuch tips. It's one of the side benefits. Zok de Gemara. If somebody shechted the veshet, so we need two pipes. Veshet. This is the kana, this is the trachea, the breathing pipe, this is the food pipe. If you shechted this up here, and this guy all the way down here. 1, 2, you took the knife, somehow you got in here and you shechted it. The Gemara is asking that when you shech the two simonim together, right over here, then you could open up the animal and look inside, or this way, open up and you see through the trachea, through the esophagus, you look, you see. But if the trachea is cut over here and the esophagus is cut down there, when you open it up, you'll see maybe the inside of the trachea. You're not going to see the inside of the esophagus. They're not one after the other. You won't have a good way to look and see that they're both cut. Yeah? You have to like open up the neck by the incision of the neck to see both simanim. But if one siman is all the way down there, how are you going to get to it? It's one incision in the neck. Somehow the knife got to the... Says Gemara, Bishchito hasuy gekulmos. Gewaldig. Take a look. First of all, this is a kulmus. If you look closely, you see this? It has a point, like a cipher. Oh. He writes like that. So that's what the Gemara means, kulmus. Now, let's do it. I hope it works. Now you might have your ratings. I'm going on an angle. I'm shechting on an angle like this. Oh. Not bad. No. It didn't. Okay, fine. So, I shechted like this. You see it? It started down here, and I ended up here. So you have a lamata and a lamala. It is a straight line. It's very straight. Almost. Yeah, okay, whatever. But the point is that I have a lamata and a lamala, and it looks now like a writing instrument because it ended up on an angle. That's kekulmus. And I have a lamala and a lamata. Great. It's slanted. Or you could just do Yoshi's picture, whatever you want. Where is it? Like this. You shecht it that way, and memela you end up with the kulmus. Okay? And that's what lamala lamata means. It doesn't mean he shechted up here, the trachea, and all the way down here, the esophagus. It means that it was one nice cut. So since you have one nice cut, you could peek inside and see that's nicely cut. That's mifuras.
Like a downward motion, from up down.
Yeah, up down, or it could be also down up.
But that's good.
Yes.
Very good. Carry on.
Thanks for the permission. The Gemara says that there was once a bull who shechted. The guy, you all know, it happened to my wife, it happened to your wife also probably. You go into the hospital to give birth or whatever, and they try to poke. It happened to you, huh? You're shaking your head. You get that nurse that just started yesterday, and she starts going like this. She sticks it in the IV. No good. Pulls it out. Another time. It looks like you've been doing drugs for 6 months. Yeah? You know those? Shnayim shleishim mekayimos. You have a shaychet, he comes. No, not good. Okay, let me do again. Poor animals. Ah! Yeah. He keeps on. Shnayim shleishim mekayimos. Al Rav bar Shmuel bar Marta shokum shufrei. Again, I didn't get a chance to ask my good friend Shmuel Gwasserman from Chicago, but he told me back in the day when he was running shallots that in the animal, every animal has 1 pound of this kind of meat, the top of the best. I don't remember what it was. And a certain restaurant in Manhattan, they sell this thing, but they control the shechita. So then he decided he's going to control his shechita, and he got his own. That 1 pound they could charge who knows what, and it's the best meat, blah, blah, blah. This shufri. He went and he bought the best meat, that 1 pound. And then Benny said the skirt set is only like a couple pounds per animal also. Okay, it's not the best of the best, but whatever. By this that you just took from this animal, again, this animal has cuts down his trachea, top 1, 2, 3, and he bought it. He's an Amari that bought it. So he says, the fact that you bought it, just now you just taught us a lesson. That's exactly what the Mishnah is talking about when it says that 2 people shechted an animal. It means with 2 knives. We had all discussions. 2 people on 1 knife or 2 people with 2 knives. Over here you see 2 people with 2 knives. Why? Because each one made a cut, and it's okay. You're allowed to eat such an animal that has a bunch of cuts. If you buried, hechlet is buried the knife. Let me remind you, the chalada. Where's chalada? Here. This is chalada, right? The original that we had in the first daf of Chullin, and we used it a few times. Burying the knife inside between simanim is a no-no. So here's a case. Yo, she did beautiful here. He stuck the knife in between the kan and the veshet, went downwards. At this point, he did a big boo-boo. Why? That's called chalada. It's hidden. Now he pulls the knife out and starts all over from the top. Too late. He did chalada. Then he went and he did the top one. I don't care that he did it well. Why? Because the bottom one he did terrible. He did a chalada. So, he put the knife in between the two simanim and he went downwards. Tachasar, kshera. But if he hit it inside the skin, something like this, he didn't cut the skin. You see, he didn't go make an incision in the skin. He stuck it in and then he went down. So now the skin is hiding the knife. Kosher. This man Omer says it's kosher. Michael Mashwan, what's the chiddush here about this chalada? Tanina, we already learned. If he stuck the knife in and he cut the second siman, regardless how you look at it, you can't eat this animal. It's either nevela or treifa. We already know that's awesome. It's possible. So the Gemara season oh, Rabbi say, take a look. Let's see if he fixed it for me. Oh. If you go in the direction of the arrow, if you start from the trachea on the bottom and go upwards, that's not a natural way of doing shechita. Shechita is first you hit the white pipe, the windpipe, and then you go down to the feeding tube, whatever you want to call it, the food tube. Over here he started from the bottom, from the esophagus, from the veshet, and he went upwards like the arrow. I would think that's the problem. Only in that case it's a problem. The reverse case is okay, I would think. He didn't do it a normal way, because usually you go from the top, you hit the trachea first, then you hit the esophagus. But if you did chalada, but it was in the right direction, maybe it's okay. Next sugya. You stick the knife into the skin, and then you go downwards, like, where was that picture? No, not this one. This one. It's underneath the skin. So the Gemara brings an opposing shita, or not opposing, but another one. Bei Rav Amri, Tachazar, any idea. You know what? I don't know. I see there's a tziyun here in the Shulchan Aruch. Interesting. We paskin any idea. Yibaylu. The Bei Rav, the Amri, Tachazar, any idea. I don't know what the halacha is. Tachaz matlas ma'u. What if I cover it with a man-made fabric? Maybe that's not considered a kisui. Maybe it's okay. If you say that if you hide it, it's no good, so maybe man-made towel is okay. Now, what about another question? What if this sheep has a ton of wool around and you hit it in the wool? Mao. Maybe that's a problem. It's not a problem. Teiku. So Rashi over here says, and I'll show you the Rashi. The whole teiku the isura, says Rashi, l'chumra. Anytime you have a teiku, when it comes to shchita and the iser, you have to be makpid. So since we don't know what the halacha is, so if I hide my knife underneath a towel and a shecht, teiku. So I have to be machmer. I can't eat from that animal. This is fascinating. A guy does a shchita, you hear this? He does a regular shchita, and he cut roiv the simanim. It should be perfect. But he continued, and he takes the knife and buries it under the siman. It comes from the other direction, boop, and he does a chalada. He buries the knife. So what's the problem? He did a great shchita, and then afterwards he did a chalada. What's the problem? So Rashi over here, again, you have to see this Rashi. Rashi says, it's great. He did a roiv. No, perhaps it's one long shchita, and like we said before, I'm saying as b'melitza, ein shchita lebesoif. You have to count the last part. V'izba chalada, and lemaisa in the shchita there was a little bit of chalada. You hit this ubemiyut kama b'shilon neveilav. Okay, fine.
By also by Drisa by Shia, or it's only Chalada? Shia, or there's no...
No, l'chayr, the same question. Why not? You did a roiv, and then the last second you did a drisa. It's one shchito that you did a drisa in. I don't know. L'chayr, I don't see a difference. Says the Mishnah. Teiku. We had this case to remind the Olam, this guy, he shefted a bunch of animals in one shot. Shchitasik sheira, 16 to be exact. None of them fall. The heads fall perfectly. It's great. Now, let me ask you something. Is there a problem with cutting off the entire head? Not really. Oh, ruining the knife. Yeah, that's the only problem. Yeah. So, and we explained this Mishnah that's referring to just regular animals at home and the shlachtais, but not in the Beis Hamikdash. In Beis Hamikdash, you're not allowed to shech two at one. Remember, we had the sugya today. Two people holding on to a knife. We said it means two knives, l'chayra. Even two knives. Even if one cuts on top, one cuts on the bottom, hit is a sarai, she knocked off the entire head, b'vasachas, psula. Oh, so over here there's a problem. No, but the problem over here is drisa. That's the problem. But if you do it nicely, back, forth, and cut off the whole head, it's okay. This is a rosh b'vasachas. You're shechting, you knocked off the whole head in one shot. So the Gemara is going to explain that it means that if it has two knife lengths, this is a machlokes of showing exactly how to learn it. But if, in addition to the width of the neck, you have another width of the neck, then it's fine. If you're shechting two animals at the same time, so how long does your knife have to be? The length of two animals plus one more neck. In addition to what you had before, one more neck. So in other words, it has to be three necks long. That's only because he didn't go back and forth. If he went back and forth, then your knife could be even a small little razor. The Gemara is going to say not less than a razor, but it could be a razor. You can take a razor blade and go like this, back and forth, the whole go like this. Okay, it's a shtickle tzar b'lechaim, but that's all you have. You're in the desert, so you go like this. Says Gemara, scalpel. How do you know that's also to do drisa that we mentioned in the Mishnah, and then you should go back and forth? You draw an arrow and you shoot it. So just like an arrow that you draw back, so too shchita is a draw back forth motion. It's not a downward motion. Real quickly, the famous Dubin the Magid. It just reminds me of myself a little bit, so I like it. The Magid said, somebody says, Rebbe, how do you always have a great mashal for everything? So he says, no. I'll give you a mashal. This guy, he had a perfect shot. It happens to be that a mazel tov to Yossi Fix, Noam's son, is in the army, and he scored the highest score in shooting out of 180 chayalim or something. Wow. Number one. I saw the thing, number one. That was on a blackboard. It could be he erased somebody else's name, put his own name in there. No, but he came home a day early, they gave him a whole thing. Fine. So, this kid came from places. It's okay. So anyway, says the Maggid, a guy shot arrows, and like somebody asked him, how are you unbelievable? For 50 yards out, you hit the center, the bullseye. He says, no, that's not how it works. I shoot the arrows, then I paint the bullseye afterwards. So he says, I come up with a great mashal. Then I find a nimshal for it. It's not that I have a nimshal and then a mashal. Me too. Sometimes I have a good story and there's no shaykhs to anything. Yeah, okay. Zok the Gemara, Tana the baby Shmuel v'shachat. Ein v'shachat el mashach. The word v'shachat means to pull, to go back and forth. Like drawn out gold. You make like a string out of it. And then the Gemara brings the original pasuk that's like a arrow shachot. That arrow you have to draw to shoot. My v'omer, why do you need all these psukim? It means that it's woven like a string. And I looked it up. You could take a gram of gold and make a string out of it that's hundreds and hundreds of feet long. If you do it very, very thin, even microscopic, because gold doesn't break when you bend it. So okay, fine. Tashma. So if you say that this gold just means this string, okay, for that I have another passage that says that shchit is like a chetz, like an arrow. You pull it back, you back and forth. Rava. So now we have a great ma'isa and a great video. Rava have a bodik le'gir l'Rav Yoina bar Tachlifa. I love the name. I wonder if it has to do with the story. But Rava checked the arrow for Rav Yoina bar Tachlifa. His name was Yoina, a bird. He was unbelievable. All these guys that do the clay pigeon stuff, they're a joke. As a bird is flying by him, a pigeon, we should hire him. He could take it. He could take an arrow and shecht it midair, hit it right in the neck. Ask the Gemara, wait a minute, maybe the arrow goes like into the neck from behind the simanim and then cuts the simanim. No, chazin and gitve the miframi. We see the way the feathers lay that it cut the front of the neck. Says Gemara, you have to cover the blood. Birds and chayes, you have to cover their blood. How do you do kisui adam? Okay, after he caught it, he pours a little bit of sand on it. No, that's not good enough. Beforehand, you have to put dirt on the bottom, then you shecht the bird, and then you pour more dirt. It's not good enough to put dirt on the top. Says the Gemara, no problem. The Mazman lay, ask every Yerushalmi, why is he throwing stones in Shabbos? It's muktzah. He says, no, I was miyachid all the stones in Yerushalayim beforehand, so I can be mekayim the mitzvah of throwing stones in cars in Shabbos. So here also, he was mazman. He said, this whole field, all this dirt over here on the field, I'm making it special for the Kisui Adam. And then, 1 minute, don't close the Gemara. We have a great video. That's why I went all the way over here. The Malay for the Kula Pascha. Okay, here goes the video.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Menachem Donald Yosef channel. Today, we are attempting the Arrow Slaughter Challenge straight out of the Gemoireh. So, what do we have here? A kit with 3 arrows. Interesting. Let's check it out. All right, arrow number 1 is designed to scatter sand for the Kisui Hadom. Amazing. Works like a charm. Now for arrow number 2, it's perfectly sharp, 0 flaws, and 100% kosher for shechita.
Boom! Looks like a hit. Yes, 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 I love it.
And now we're sending the camera arrow to get a close-up of the hit and make sure the socken didn't get stuck mid-neck, because it's halada. Wait, what is that? What am I even looking at right now? Where's the pigeon?
Are you crazy? What do you think you're doing? Shooting arrows in the middle of a hiking trail? Throwing sand around, knives? I'm calling the police. Get out of here.
All right, guys, it's an absolute mess over here. I gotta fly. Peace!
All right. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful week. Yishkoyach for coming.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.